Hi guys, welcome to another video. So in this video we'll talk about outer join. So outer join is an extension of inner join, though SQL standard defines three types of outer join. So we have left outer join, right after outer join, and then full outer join. But unfortunately SQLite only supports the left outer join. So we'll be looking at the left outer join in this video. So if you want more information and to see how you can also use maybe union function and union syntax to even get your full join or your full outer join, please try to subscribe to our main cohort. Right, you have a tons of well-structured videos and materials that would help you gain more insight about SQL and a whole lot. Now let's move on. So outer joins have a condition that is identical to inner joins, expressed using an on, definitely, or using keyword. The initial result table is calculated the same way once the primary join is calculated. An outer join, we take any unjoined rows from one or both tables, pad them out with nulls and append them to the resulting table. So simply put, right, an outer join, basically, right, it basically works like an inner join, right? The thing about this is that most of the time we just want to get, especially with left and right outer join, we want to get missing values, right? We want to see some missing information, right? So we'll see some example when we move to our SQLite DBMS. So let's say we want to understand the syntax of left outer join. This is how it's being written, right? Select whatever from table 1, left outer join table 2. So you can either remove this outer join or you can leave it, right? So and then you fix your on clause, your unconditional expression. Remember, when you are fixing your on clause, you need to have tables that are common between the, or rather columns that are common between the two tables. So you need to have a column in table 1 that's also referenced in table 2 as well, right? So yeah, so to avoid redundancy, exactly, we know about this, you can use your using expression, exactly. So yeah, so now let's go. So based on the employee and department tables, you can write an outer join as follows. So this is your table. You remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all unique, right? Nobody can have Paul's employee ID, right? Or Alan's employee ID, right? So now we want to use left join to join this table, right? So remember, as I said, left right join helps us to get missing values, right? We want to be able to see if when we do our left join, if we have our employees, some employees don't even have departments, we want to be able to see those missing values. We want to be able to see the employees that don't even have a department, right? A department name or whatever. So once we want to do that, we give our usual syntax, select employee ID. We want to see the name of these employees. We also want to see the department of these employees. So any name of the employees that is juxtaposed with null, it means that the name or that employee does not have a department. Once you do that using your left outer join, because it means that all the entries, all the rows of your left table, in this sense, since you are using employee as your first table, so if you do your left join, it means you want all the records in your employee to show, and then you want the common records between these two tables to show after all the records of your employee has shown. That's basically it, right? So once you do that, you see it shows that employee ID 1 Paul, IT billing. So if you notice, it brings out Paul and he notices that yes, he also has an employee ID here, right? Then he brings out everything that we need, the department and then the employee ID and then his name, right? That's basically what we said we wanted in our final result. Then we move over to the second Allen. Second Allen also has employee ID 2 here, right? So engineering will also show. But now when you move on to 3, which is this, remember we say it would, when you use your left join, it brings out all the entries or the records of your left table. And your left table in this sense is your employee table, right? That's the table we started with. So it's your left table compared to this, that's your right table. So it brings out, so it's going down to 3, then it checks for the employee ID in the department table to see if there is 3, But notice that there's no 3 in this department table. So hey, Teddy does not have a department, right? So it will just bring Teddy and then a null value here, right? So in that sense, you've been able to see missing information showing that Teddy does not have a department, and also he does not have an employee ID. So that's basically it. All the way to Mark, all the way to David, all the way to Kim, right? So that's basically what left outer join does, right? It brings out all the records from your left table and then try to get the common records and then still bring them out, right? So meaning you definitely have missing records. Now let's move over to SQLite DBMS to practice one example. So do this, we are talking about left join or left outer join as you want it. So let's say, and this is used basically for checking, checking missing information. Very important that we put that. So now let's say we want to find out what media items have not been bought yet. Right, that is that's basically it too, right? So far a track has not been sold, it will not be invoiced, right? That's basically what we're trying to say. So that is not an item in any invoice, right? So that's what we want to do. We want to be able to see items that have not been bought yet. We want to be able to see tracks that have not been bought yet, right? And if they have not been bought yet, they will not be invoiced. They will not have an invoice ID. So let's check our invoice table. Let's see if it is something we'll be using that will give us more insight. So we have invoice, customer, billing code, total, right? I think this doesn't work because we just have invoice ID, but we don't have anything like track or songs that is making us understand that, oh, there's actually a billing or there's an invoice to this track. What we just have is our customer ID. So this customer ID has already bought something from us. That's basically what it means. So let's check other ones. Okay, we have invoice line. Okay, so invoice line ID, invoice ID, track ID, unit price. I think this is what we need to do. If you notice, I think this is what we are looking for. This is what we are looking for. So it's showing us that track 2 has an invoice ID 1, right? So meaning track 2 has been bought, and the price for track 2 is basically $0.99, right? And the quantity bought was 1, right? So I think this is our table that we need. This is the table that we need, right? And then I think this is the table that we need. Basically, this is the table. Hope I'm not missing anything, right? This is the table. Let's look at track, right? So track. You see, I'm trying to look at the table that would help me, that will give me what I want, right? So yes, I think track can even help us to get the track name. When we join these two tables together, we can also get the track name of, that's the names of these tracks that has been invoiced and not invoiced, right? That are not an item yet, right? That's another angle to it. So you see, so we are going to use track name. So if we want to join them, what common columns would we use? We have track ID here. Let's check our invoice line. Yes, we have track ID here too. So we can use track ID to join both of them. I think we are good to go. Yeah. So let's go. So we do select, right? Select. So let's just do, or rather, let me just select the column that I'm interested in. select my track ID. Remember, my track ID is in my tracks table, right? I want my track ID from my track table. So select my track ID from my track table, and also my invoice ID. Remember, what we are doing is we want to be able to see the track IDs that has invoice ID, so that we know that yes, okay, this track has been bought. This track does not have an invoice ID, meaning it has not been bought, right? So do invoice ID, we need that as well. So because we want to join two tables, right? Track and invoice line, right? So why not we also have a name, right, attached to this? So I can do name here, right? Name. So remember, the name is going to be in my track table, right? Let's go track. It's going to this name. I want to see the track's name, the track names of all these IDs. What am I saying? The name of the track that has been bought and also not been bought. So we can also fix the name here, right? So name and then comma. Now, what table are we considering from? From tracks. Remember, tracks is our first table. Track, we can as well name it T. Remember, I told us that either we use alias and then T, or we just keep it like this. Then we can do from track. Then what are we trying to left join? Remember, if we use left join, we are saying that please, we want to see all the tracks, right? We want to see all the records, in fact, all the track numbers, all the track IDs, right? That's why we are not referencing the track in this invoice line here, right? We are not using this track ID here. We are using the track ID from our track table, because this would give us all the records of all our tracks and the track name, right? So we'll do select track ID name invoice from track table, which is T. We are denoting as T. Then left join. You know, when you do your left join, it means that all the records, all the rows of the track must show, regardless. And that's what we want. So I will see missing values, some tracks that don't have an ID, some tracks that has ID. That's basically what we want to do. So left join. Then what's our table that we are interested in? Invoice line. Yes, that's what we are interested in, right? Invoice line as. You cannot, instead of as, you can do IL. Yeah. And please, guys, don't mind me not always ending my query. Very important to know that. So IL, right? So I'm using I and then L, right? So, I think that's that. But now let us signify where these columns are coming from. So track ID, we can call it from our track table. So .t, we already signified track as T, right? So this name is also coming from our track table, right? .name, .t, but this is coming from our IL, right? That's IL. Now remember our on clause. So what is the common column here? So if we do on, we can do .t track ID. Very important, right? Track ID equal to our IL, because those are the two tables we are trying to left join. So IL dot, I think IL also has track ID, right? Invoice line has track ID, fine. So yes, we're good to go. So remember, you can now do track ID, yeah. Right, so you can also do this, right? You can also do using, then we call track ID. Yes, you can also do this. So it's still the same thing as the previous thing I did. So let's try using this. Once I end my quotes, I run it. Let's see. Remember, we want to be able to see tracks that also don't have invoice ID yet, right? So I run it. Now notice that, see, we are also seeing null. So meaning for this track ID 1 that has its name to be for those about to rock, it has been purchased, right? For it to have an invoice ID called 108, meaning the customer has purchased this track, right? Also, we have another track, balls to the wall, right? Meaning we have different invoice IDs for it, right? It has been purchased as well, right? And then, so meaning most people, in fact, we have two people that have purchased this item, right? Because of the different invoice numbers, right? So now we have invoice number 1 or invoice ID 1. We also have invoice ID 214 for this track. So this track must really be doing well. Then if you notice that, if you go down, you notice that we have some track that don't even have an invoice ID, meaning this track has not been purchased. Followed by keep it to myself, it has also not been purchased, right? So that's basically it. But remember that we said what we wanted to do was we wanted to find out what media types have not been registered, or rather that have not been bought yet. I think I wrote that initially. Why did it go off? Okay, yes, this is where I wrote it. Yeah. Let's do. Yeah. So I think that's that about that. So that's basically it, guys. So if you want to understand more about your outer join, your full join, your right join, please subscribe to our main cohort, and I bet you that you will learn a lot. So from me to you, thank you once again for sticking by me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.